Welcome to episode 23 of live.withcode.uk. This week we are focusing on string manipulation. So string is just text. Manipulation means changing stuff. So we want to be able to change and control text with Python. And we're building a palindrome detector. So a palindrome is just a word that can be spelt the same forwards as it is when it's spelt backwards. So we're going to read some words in from a file. We have a file containing just 5 words. And then if you can spell the same word backwards, as in Bob is the same forwards as it is backwards, then our program should detect that it's a palindrome. So there's a couple of things going on here. We want to be able to reverse strings, and then we want to be able to compare strings, and we also want to be able to line up strings, as in pad them on the right with spaces, or arrange them so we can display them in a nice table. You'll notice here we've got a palindrome that hasn't been detected properly. So madam should be a palindrome, but in the program that we're going to do at the moment, it doesn't detect it properly because of that capital letter. So one of your challenges will be to try and make your code cope with that, and we'll give you some clues in the video. Okay, so let's make a start, but before we do, just remember that there are links in the description to some free online interactive challenges. If you've signed up for the free weekly competitions, you get points for each of these. So the first link is to type out the code as fast as you can. The second one is to just access the code so you can run it and tweak it and extend it and work through the challenges. There's a K-Pride activity, so you get points for spotting, identifying different keywords, key concepts, and then you can tweak the code and practice debugging as well to build up your exam technique, and then some links to some related resources on string manipulation as well. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to stick with a file called words.txt. You can put any words in here that you like, but we want some code to be able to read that file in. So last week we loaded some words from a file, but we're going to do it slightly differently this time. Last week we did open and then the file name, which we'll still do, but last week we did f equals open, which meant that we had to remember to do f.close afterwards. This week we're going to do it slightly differently, which is the preferred way of doing it with Python 3. So we'll say with this open file as f, and then with some code that's indented, we'll do everything we want to, and then when we finish indenting, it automatically closes the file. It's a little bit neater. So I want to make a list of words, and we're going to read from that file. So we'll start with that for now. So we should be able to read everything from the file, but we want to split that whenever we come across a new line. So that \n is the new line constant, as in it tells Python that there's a new line between the O of hello and the B of Bob. So now we've got all of the words in a list. The square brackets tell us it's a list, and they're separated by commas so that we can access them individually. As in, 0 means get the first one, 1 means the second one, etc. So just like a list, we can index different items in that list. You can also use indexing on a string. So this is the first item in our list, the first word in our file. We can then access the first character, or the second character, or the third character, you get the idea, by using this indexing expression. So that'll be useful for us a little bit later. Okay, so for now, we just want to display all of those words. So let's say for word, an individual word, in our list of all of our words, we're just going to display each one. So we've got each one. Now it would be nice to display them as a table. So let's put the heading. So we'll say the word itself. And then after a little bit of space, we'll see what the word is backwards. And then we want to see if that is a palindrome. So remember, a palindrome is a word that's spelt the same forwards as it is backwards. Okay, so we need to be able to convert this into its own spelling. So let's see if we can work that out first of all. So let's say backwards equals, well, we'll start with the word. We use our indexing expression. So the first value in here is where we start from. and then where we stop at, and then the direction. So if we just want to go backwards, we start at the beginning, we stop at the end, so we can leave those blank, and the -1 just means we go backwards. So hopefully, if we display that, we should have the word and the word spelt backwards. But we have a bit of a problem because they're not lined up all that nicely. So we are going to pad them out so that they're lined up perfectly. So we'll take the word string, as in the text stored in Word. So for our first example, that'll be hello. And we will left justify, let's say with 10 characters. Now that's too many. Let's go for 9. There we go. And do the same with backwards. Left justify, so that we can then work out whether or not it's a palindrome. Okay, so to test if they're a palindrome, we just need the forward spelling compared with the backward spelling, and if they're the same, it'll be a palindrome. So let's see, palindrome, make a new variable, and then we'll compare them. So backwards is equal to forwards. Now this is a great example of the difference between an equal sign and a double equal sign. The single equal sign assigns a value, as in sets the value of palindrome to whatever this expression is. So we're assigning this selected thing to palindrome. So what is this thing that was selected? Well, this is a Boolean expression. We're testing with 2 equal signs to see if that is identical to that. So if they are the same, that Boolean expression will be true. And if they're not the same, that Boolean expression will be false. And that true or false will get saved in here. So we can just display that. Palindrome. So we've displayed the value. It's spotted that Bob spelt forwards is the same as Bob spelt backwards. But it would be nice if we could shunt it across a little bit. So let's just move backwards across. Too much. There we go. And that's it for your palindrome detector. Let's put a couple of challenges in and talk through how you can go about them. So remember the second link in the description or on live.withcode.uk gets you the code so you can jump in with these challenges. First one to begin with, nice and easy, add your own list of words to words.txt. So that's this file here. Find other examples of palindromes and put them in. Challenge number 2 is make it work with words like madam. So even if they contain capital letters. Go away, output. There we go. So for that one, when you read them in, madam forwards isn't going to be the same as madam backwards because of that capital letter. So you just have to convert both of them to either uppercase or lowercase. And then, even though when you display them, they've got the capital letters in, when you compare them, they're different. So if you've watched the video, you've got the answer to that. But I'm not going to leave it in the code. And then number 3, change the table so that it says yes or no instead of true, false for the palindrome column. What does that mean? That means at the moment it's just got the Boolean value true or false. You're going to have to replace that with an if statement so that you can display the contents of a variable, a string variable that is either going to be yes or no. Okay, so all the very best. Remember to check out the free interactive remote learning activities to get your school to sign up for the weekly competition so you can compete against each other and get prizes. And I will see you next week. All the very best.